Time Crisis was one of the highest Arcade1ups to date, priced at $749.99 when it originally came out. Then it went on sale for $599 and then dropped even lower to $549. Now Target was running a deal recently for $575 and I thought, you know what, I have an idea. Let's go over Time Crisis again. Instead of focusing on the cabinet, we did that in the review. It's 69-70 inches high, it's 19 inches wide, and it comes out about 28.5, 29 inches. Now I have added a booster, a little riser booster from Buy Stuff Arcades to kind of raise it up. Two flaws I have on this is the monitor size. Now it is a deluxe cabinet, and we're used to those 17-inch BOE monitors, so that's why it's a 17-inch. Should have been a 19, but it's not an XL. The thing that makes it look a lot smaller is that black border. I think if they would have put a bezel, it maybe wouldn't look so much small, and that white border, it even takes away some more of that screen. Also, the monitor is just a tad too low. You can see how high it is. Dropping it down, the reason I put the booster on the bottom wasn't to make it look higher. I mean, look at it, almost touches my ceiling fan. It's the fact that the monitor was too low. If you have Ridge Racer or Star Wars, you know when you're playing, you're kind of looking down. This is the same way. Now, before we get into a lot of gameplay, this is what this is about. It's not so much on the cabinet, on the build. It's focusing on the games. And I'll get to why I want to do this in a little bit. But there is an option to make this sound like, you know, a real firing weapon. If you hold this down, it will make that sound every time. We're not going to do that for the gameplay because it's going to get a little bit repetitive. So if you hold this and just move that back, you can hold this down and you'll hear on the screen, you'll hear the gunshots, but you won't hear anything except for that trigger on the actual light gun. Now that we got kind of the cons out of the way, there's a lot of pros about this cabinet. And I just want to focus on the pedal just for a second because we probably won't see it again in this video. We're just going to be focusing on the gameplay. By the way, if you get that booster from Buy Stuff Arcades, you get this great Namco logo on the front, and the yellow will align up with that yellow T-molding. No complaints on the pedal. It's all plastic. There's no metal on here, but you know, I think it serves its purpose. But yeah, this is the last time we're going to see it. Plus, I gotta light these coin doors up yet. So yeah, it's pretty much stock. The entire cabinet didn't really do anything to this. I will say that, you know, the cords coming out with Terminator 2, you can tuck them in. If you did the retro shooter mod, they kind of go through that riser. Like it's a cleaner look. This, unfortunately, is not. So just kind of keep that in mind that you're gonna have these cords just kind of hanging. Well, we'll find out if Time Crisis is really worth it.
Action!
Well, we'll get about a board and maybe two boards, just depending on how long it takes. And just to keep in mind, this is a timed game, so you know, Time Crisis gotta be a little quick here on the draw. And out of the 4 games, this will be the only game we play that will require the pedal. So the pedal just comes with this just for Time Crisis.
Action!
And also, Time Crisis being a one-player game, player 2 will be available on the other 3 games that are on this cabinet. Little rusty, telling me to hurry up.
Action!
You know, it's hard to talk and take it serious. Arnold, get serious. But it is a time game, and I've never tried the time trial. I did story mode when I selected. I wonder how much, you know, harder that is. All right, area 1 clear. Roughly maybe about 2 minutes of gameplay. I think we'll finish
Danger.
player 2. Stage 2. And continue. Wasn't paying attention. Try to keep it about, I guess, in the 3 to 5 minute range for each game. We'll see how fast I can get through stage 2. So if I step on the pedal, we see the opponents here. If I take my foot off, that's what we're looking at right now. And there is an extra button on the actual light gun that will work its way in. Instead of stepping on the pedal, I can just press this with my thumb. So I'm not pressing right now, but if I press the thumb, I can get in here and go after the bad guys. So I'm kind of used to using the pedal. It's kind of weird. It's nice having that feature. And when it says reload, like I want to shoot down, like in Lethal Enforcers, like you just get in that habit, or Area 51 where, you know, you got to point for the ground, but it's stepping on the pedal. Go to stage 2. Pretty quick. You know, I guess the game, I mean, if you're moving pretty good, it, you know, playing at a pretty high level, you could probably finish it in about 15 minutes, and that's probably faster than I could do it. But I would imagine that, you know, about, I hate to admit it, but about the 20-minute range, probably get through the entire game. So it's just a matter of quick stages, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're rescuing Rachel McPherson. We'll head out of this and jump into the second game, which is Steel Gunner. Now, I will not need the pedal for any more games, so it's just for Time Crisis. Now, Steel Gunner, this cabinet, I have such Ridge Racer vibes with this, because the headline game on Ridge Racer is Ridge Racer 1, Ridge Racer 2, along with Time Crisis being the headline game here. Not my favorites. I actually preferred Ace Driver 1 and 2 on my Ridge Racer cabinet, and I prefer Steel Gunner 1 and 2 on this cabinet. Now, if you want to hear the sound the light gun makes, we'll press it just for a second. And you can't hold down the trigger. You're going to have to keep moving it with your index finger, like this. So it's already getting a little annoying. That's how it sounds. I prefer to play it this way. And I like the fact that we have the crosshairs. A lot of the cases on my retro shooter, on my Terminator 2 cab, I actually select the crosshair option so I can see everything. I know it's not accurate on a lot of the games, but it is accurate on this game. It's nice to see that. Could really use this in point blank, because that requires a lot of skill. And even with the crosshair, I'm still going after the civilians, unfortunately. So everyone just kind of runs at you. This game it's kind of a no fail. It's my kind of game, like on a racing game, on just hitting the pedal to the metal on like Fast and Furious. This reminds me a lot of that, where you're just holding down the trigger and everyone's just like running your way. Kind of the Operation Wolf vibe, but easier than Operation Wolf because it allows you to keep continuing and you don't have that whole timer thing. So, or life, like, you know, you can continue in Operation Wolf, but you have to start over. At least with this game, it's just like, you know, you're putting in a quarter, you're continuing, and you just keep going. And I said that, you know, when I got this cabinet, I was gonna like Steel Gunner 1 and 2 a lot more. It was gonna be my go-to on this cabinet, and it's cool because you can play 2 players on this, and just by hitting the player 2 button, you have both crosshairs. You see the red and the blue, and it doesn't affect anything. Like you're all over the screen. It works perfect. A lot of fun if, you know, you had another person to play with, or if you just wanted to, you know, two-fist it here and just go nuts with both guns. it is hard to continue because your hands are occupied. We'll put player 2 down. There are missiles on here too, so the same button that will work as your pedal in Time Crisis will work as, you know, your rocket launcher missile launcher. So then this guy will pop out. Kind of reminds me of Deadpool a little bit, kind of a Deadpool vibe. Actually, in 1990 when this game came out, I'm not sure if Deadpool, I'm going to say Deadpool was 91 or 90, 93. I don't even think Deadpool was around when this game came out. So I guess they currently take that idea. About almost 4 minutes into this game, I think it's a good time to exit this. You know, kind of getting a taste of how Steel Gunner plays. One of my favorites on here. My second favorite is Steel Gunner 2, and we'll check it out next. And I want to add that with player 1 here, you're using your crosshair to select through all the menus, just like the Terminator 2. And it reminds me, you know, I get that vibe because I no longer have the actual T2 on my cabinet because I swapped it over with the retro shooter, with the Buy Stuff Arcades mod, and, you know, put it all in one. So it's kind of cool operating it this way because that's how I used to do it with T2. Unfortunately, T2 only coming with the one game, and then all of a sudden, you know, now there's all these other mods you can do to it, and I'm sure you, in time, with Time Crisis, see what I did there? You could add more on here also, but you know, for what it is, you know, the 4 games, wish it was 5, but they give you a good variety. You can see the crosshair, and I want to point out, after we go through all the games, we're playing in the pitch dark right now, and you see that this works perfectly. Give you a little demo with not only all the lights on, like the main, you know, on your ceiling, but I will put 2 extra lights on the monitor to see if it affects anything on how we're playing it right now, because right now, pretty flawless. Like, you see the crosshair is just, there's no delay here. And we've got those civilians, no problem. We'll see if it works the exact same way with the lights on. And you do kind of have to get your range here. Like, you don't want to be too close to the screen, and you don't want to be too far back. So you got to kind of find your sweet spot. And in a room, if you have other, you know, anything, you know, other arcades, furniture, just give yourself enough room and kind of, as Ra's al Ghul would say, mind your surroundings and don't, you know, walk into anything. There's a cabinet right behind me. I believe it's Star Wars and Galaga. I just actually wasn't sure. Kind of in the middle of both of them. So, and there's a gas pedal on Star Wars. So I don't really have a lot of room. And kind of going back to the MX-24 from Retro Shooter, very big light gun. And in this room, it just didn't work out well. And, you know, the light guns that come with Time Crisis is perfect because I don't have to get that that step back. You know, I don't have a long, and there's other options, like Big Buck Hunter. That's going to be a longer light gun too, so just kind of factoring that in, you probably want to be about 3 feet, 2.5 feet, 3 feet behind the monitor, and you got to give yourself that extra room. So for me, this works out perfect, and it'd be kind of challenging actually, now that I think about it, if I did bring Big Buck Hunter in here, because I would need a little bit more distance to be able to play that. You have defeated the invasion. Now I want to add that, you know, at full price, the cabinet is not worth, you know, the original $749. Like that is just, it's a lot of money. And I know a lot of Arcade1up start off with $749. This cabinet, it kind of looks like a Super Shredder. if you can get this, and don't let FOMO kind of be the deciding factor when it comes to this, because the good news about the Namco product is Arcade1up seems to have Namco at a pretty good terms, I'd say. And if they, for some reason, sell out of all the time crises, not sure how many time crises there are, but if you see that they're completely gone, it's very likely that they could rehash the exact same cabinet, the same games. I don't know if I'd expect any extra games like a Time Crisis 2 or Point Blank 2, but I could see this coming back. Something like NBA Jam. They were able to give us a ton of different types of cabinets, and it's always been the same 3 games. So I would expect continuing with a Time Crisis cabinet in the future, if they sold out, would be no problem whatsoever. So if the price is somewhere where you feel comfortable paying, I would strongly recommend that this cabinet is between the range of $5.99 to $4.99. I would not pay any more than $5.99 for this cabinet. Comparing it to Big Buck Hunter is at $5.99. Fast and Furious, with the pedal, with a steering wheel. Star Wars 23 when it came out was $5.99. Now sales happen, and I think that if they could drop that, just imagining if this was $5.99, if they could drop that to 50 to 100, I think it's a deal. I don't see this being $4.99. I can see a $5.49 between a $5.99. So the last sale that Target had at $5.79, I think it was an okay sale, and the fact that they jumped it back up now to basically $670, it's just a little bit too high. So I would not pay that, and that's why I kind of just wanted to go over this cabinet, and it's going to happen on the next cabinet. Something that recently was on sale. Is it worth it? What do I think of it? And just kind of go from there. I think it's easier to do something like this, doing gameplay instead of a live stream. It's hard to do a light gun at a live stream. Not so much with this game, but something that requires some good aiming and to monitor the comments. So I thought that just a video of gameplay with my opinion, is it worth it? Kind of a little mini series for this fall and maybe into the winter. Next continue, I think we'll get out and jump into our last game, our game 4, which is Point Blank. Point Blank comes a ton of skill. Now I am completely rusty, so there's no judging here. We're just doing some basic gameplay. Point Blank was made in 1994. I'll hit player 1, and there are 2 players available on this cabinet. So another something fun, to have somebody to play against. Kind of to go through everything. We'll start with the top left. We have 24 targets, and we got to watch those hostages. Not doing good on that right side. No, it wasn't great, but it wasn't super bad, was it? Okay, looks like the chickens coming through the windows. 30 birds. 30 birds, and don't shoot the skeletons. Right when you start maybe getting the rhythm, it's like it's too late. Yeah, I'm missing a lot though. We have 25 targets. This is a fun game. I think it would be a lot better to go up against somebody. Wow, this is tough. Okay, we got 18. Oh my gosh. Might be a little close. I feel like when I'm playing this, I move a little closer than I should. Yeah, that crosshair would come in handy here. I might have to do 2 rounds of this. Like, this might be kind of a warm-up. I know that's what you always say, like in a game of horse, but not my best. You know, when that third one comes in, it's just like you have a hard time completing it. Honestly, there was a time where I don't feel like I failed. We'll do one more round because I don't want to leave, kind of finish off the video with that. Like, that wasn't. Let's do the very hard one. 19 targets, and we have casualties here, hostages. We don't want to. Civilians, not casualties. Well, okay. Little redemption there. Not the worst. We'll do the numbers game. So hit him in sequence. Oh man, how do you start off that way? I almost want to just like redo this whole part here. I got myself in that one. Alright, we have the piranhas, and I'm not sure if this is where the guy's hanging from the rope, and if they get him, mission over. Yeah, it is. So we got to be quick. When they get up, and I think every time they get here, he'll move down a little bit. And that doesn't help that they throw in those skeletons. Obviously not my best work here. Try it one more time. We have a bonus stage where it's probably one shot. And those are the targets. We have 10 seconds. Okay, I got it. That was it. Let's see if we can get the apple on the head. Jeez. Oh man. Epic fail. Look at that hole in his head. I was feeling confident too. Like I felt like okay, the red targets. We have 3 seconds to get all the red targets. I mean, come on. I'd like to see somebody get all those red targets. That is that's a tough one. I mean, this is the reason I want to do the game plan here. It's a lot of fun. Like, you can show the build here. You know, the massive marquee. It's, you know, the amount of fun I'm having playing this game. I think it's Arcade1up's best light gun cabinet. You know, nostalgia-wise, I would go T2, but you know, only having one game on there, having 4, and they're all, well, 2 of them are similar, but you're getting a good variety here, and I just think that I'm glad I have it. I overpaid, and it would have been nice to get this in between $500 and $600. I think that's the sweet spot for Time Crisis. Okay, so it played flawlessly in the complete dark. I have the light above in the ceiling, and then a light on both the left and the right hand side of this cabinet, and you can see the crosshair on here. It works perfectly. So with the lights on, with the lights off, absolutely no difference as far as the gameplay. Like how's it gonna play? Perfect. Get player 2 involved. We have 2 going on. Crosshairs are not mixing up. They're, you know, when I first got the retro shooter, until they did the improvements of giving us 4 sensors versus the original 2, sometimes the crosshair, if you just watch the red one here, would just kind of get stuck in the left here, and then you have to like shake it around and it would start working again. Doesn't even happen with this. I mean, look at this. All these lights, which kind of reminds me of Big Buck Hunter, you know, the fact that they didn't light up the marquee, and they said that that would have some kind of an impact when you're playing around with that white frame. And I don't see that. I don't see that happening with these lights. Now the marquee for Time Crisis is a lot higher on this cabinet. Terminator 2, like the screen kind of goes in. Maybe that's the case, but as far as in a lighted room, Time Crisis works perfectly. Along with in a dark room, identically. Just to kind of clarify that. No problem whatsoever. All in all, I think it's a fun cabinet, and I'm glad that, you know, thinking about this, the sales that happened, you know, I know it's kind of almost at full price again, but it gave me a reason to just kind of mess around on Time Crisis on a Friday night, have some fun, and play it. And I think that's what it's all about. It's a fun cabinet to have. It's just don't overpay for something like this, because I don't see this cabinet selling out anytime soon, and if it did, this is something that they could easily rehash, re-release, and we would have it again. I think in time I'm going to put in a 19-inch monitor on here, because, you know, with all my cabinets that don't have a 19, you know, it is just another costly addition, and don't think about stuff like that. Don't think about any mods you're going to do, because you don't have to do everything right away. All these are going to be available. It's kind of at your convenience to do this stuff. So don't worry about any of that stuff. Just worry about getting something that you want for a price you feel comfortable with. And that's kind of my advice, kind of finishing off Time Crisis. We'll see you guys next time.